Hello everybody, my name is Alan, I'm from Sauber-Lab and today will be another video about TrueNas. In this case, we're gonna show how you can install the TrueNas Scale and how you can configure it, base configuration, create your pool, add your users and some basic informations. In this video, I'm gonna use a virtual machine. I don't suggest you to run the TrueNas directly in a virtual machine. Previous videos, when I was showing how to install and how to configure TrueNas, we have a lot of issues, but I don't know if it's because it was in a virtual machine or because it was a beta and had some bugs anyway. But the next videos, I will start to use a proper desktop where I can simulate a proper server, and that will cut these virtualization problems. So if you like this idea and want to learn a little bit more about it, we're gonna show in this video. But first of all, don't forget to leave your like, consider to subscribe for the channel, and let's understand a little bit more about it. So before we start to install anything, we need to understand what system that TrueNas work. TrueNas Scale, now they work with Debian. And Debian it's one option for Linux. Before, the TrueNas core work with 3 dbs, now the TrueNas core work with Debian. That's a really good system. In my case, we're gonna install in a virtual machine. I don't suggest you to do exactly the same, but only because I want to show all the steps. It's easy for me. Also, I don't have a capture card and I cannot show this first step. But in the next videos, I will have a proper computer running it. Not exactly the same configuration that I'm doing here, a little bit different, but only for you have an idea. So I come here in settings. I have my machine name. They work with Linux Debian 64 bits. The system have 11 gigabytes, but they recommend 16. So let's change this one for 17, a little bit more. Processor, they suggest as a minimum dual core, but I will leave 4 cores only for extra. We're not gonna use it because we're not gonna virtualization, we're not gonna run some heavy application, so it's totally fine. If you want to make some trials in a virtual machine, don't forget to enable those 2 options, otherwise you not enable virtualization, and that this could have an issue in your application when you do your TrueNas. Display, we don't touch anything. Storage, we're gonna configure it because I want to create a cache where we'll have all my fast information or all the data that access more often saved in this cache, and the rest will be in my mechanical hard drive. So I have my operating system where it's 16 gigabytes. I have 2 hard drives of 10 gigabytes and 1 SSD for 5 gigabytes. This SSD, it's only to have a fast ability to access everything, and that the rest will be saved in my hard drives. This reason that it's a small SSD. In real world, not in virtual machine, you're gonna have, I don't know, 2 hard drives of 4 terabytes, 8, 16 terabytes, and 1 SSD for 254 or 500 gigabytes. So you need to balance it. All the data initially will be saved in your SSD, and that after will migrate for your hard drive. And the things that you access more often, because it's a cache, they will keep in your SSD for fast access. Other thing that I'm doing, it's a bridge for the network. If I leave as a NAT, they will not have access outside from my computer, what is not interesting. And I have my card connected. I could connect my Wi-Fi or my card, but I prefer to use a stable network connection using cables, because Wi-Fi can break anytime and they suggest you don't use it. So here I put OK, and I will start this machine. When I start this machine, they already appear this page. If I don't touch anything, they will go already in the page for the installation for the TrueNas. TrueNas is much easier to install compared for Proxmox, compared for OpenMediaVault. You have only 1 or 2 steps. So first thing, we're gonna put install. Today, the version that I'm installing is revision 22.02.04. In the future, when you're gonna see this video, maybe it will be revision 0.5, 0.6, or any other revision. The installation for TrueNas or TrueNas Core or Scale will be exactly the same. Install. you'd select which kind of media that you want to select. In my case, because I defined 16 for my US and the rest of the 2 hard drives for 10 terabytes. The other 2 hard drive of 10 gigabytes, it's related from my storage. So if I selected this one, I put OK. Now they advise, please don't use a USB flash drive, use a SATA, SAS or NVMe flash drive. This one because a USB flash drive, it's not safe. Anytime someone can take out or can fail and that's all your configuration is gone. If you have encrypted your data or you have anything, it will take a little bit longer for you recover it. And if it's in production, maybe don't want to have this time off only to save a little bit space compared for a USB flash drive. So yes, I understand it and put install. I define my root password. This root password is really important because you're gonna use this root password for SSH and to access in the web UI. So put a safe password and try to remember this password. Now we're gonna wait to finish the installation. Once this one happens, we come back and show what you need to do for the next step. So let's wait. When appear this page, it means that the installation has been successful and now we need to remove our media. If you're using a CD, take out the CD. If you're using a USB flash drive, remove this USB flash drive. In our case, we come here and only put remove and force remove. Now I can put OK and I put reboot. You don't need to click anything. In 3-4 seconds, they will start this TrueNas Scale automatically. So once that they start, they will do all the initial configuration. Now you don't need to do anything. They will look for hardware, they will look for software updates, and will look everything that needs to be done in order to have your TrueNas working in a good way. They will generate your private key as well, and that's you only need to wait. According here, they will take around 4 minutes. So let's wait these 4 minutes until they finish. Once this one finish, we can open our web UI. So let's wait 5 minutes at least. Once that appears this page, it means that all the initial configuration for the TrueNas has been completed and you can start to access the web UI. You have a 2 IP address. The first one, it's appear with 2 dots, 8 or port 8. It means that we'll use the protocol HTTP, and the other one it's HTTPS. So I suggest you only choose the HTTP at this stage because we not use SSL certification and that could have some conflict. So let's open this IP address 192.168.1.238. So let's do it. Once that appear, they will appear this page where you can do your looking. So we can looking as a root and put exactly the same password that you created before. Once that you do this one, they will appear this first page where they will show your system information. In our case, we are using TrueNas Scale 20.02.4, exactly the same that I told. Platform generic, all time will appear generic unless that you bought a specific TrueNas system that will appear that specific name of the system. Otherwise, if you use any server, anything will be generic. The host name at the moment is TrueNas and they are up running for 4 minutes. Here all the information that they can look. You can look for some forums, some news or some side documentation for you do your configuration. Here your CPU usage, in my case using 0% or almost nothing. I have 4 cores and this is the name of my CPU. Because I'm only doing a virtual machine, they are not using all the cores for my CPU. Here is the amount of RAM memory that I have, how much they're using for service and how much for ZFS. At this moment I don't have any storage, what we're gonna create in a minute, and here's my network connection. If I didn't have any network connection, I will not be able to access this web UI, so you know that is working. So now first thing, we're gonna go to the storage. The storage, it's the first thing that you need to do is to create your pool, because this pool will get all your hard drives that you're having on your machine and that you're gonna configure it in the way that you want. Suggestion, have all your hard drives or your future hard drives already in place, because in this way you can properly configure it. If you configure your pool in one stage, it will be a little bit more difficult for reconfigure this pool for be bigger or small or any modification. So it's better to have everything already in the place. but always you can add extra storage or always can make some modification, but maybe not work in the way that I expect. So it's better to be safe. First thing, we're gonna define the name. The name will be home. If I want to encrypt my data, I can encrypt it, but in my case I'll not do it because I don't want to risk to lose this key and that I will not able to recover it. If you wanted to do it, I suggest you to save this private key in a really safe place. Otherwise, without this one and you have any issue with your configuration, to recover your data, you need this key. Will compromise a little bit of speed of the data, but normal, the new CPUs, they already have encryption options that will work quite well, so will not affect so much your performance. In my case, I will put no. If I put suggest layout, they will already appear my suggest layout. That's totally fine. Only option that I can do is strip and mirror. I don't suggest you to do the strip because it's a risk of a fail and lose the data. It's a virtual machine, so if any one of those hard drive fail, it means that my physical hard drive fail and that everything gets lost anyway. Other thing, I have my SSD that I want to create as a cache. If I put add view, I can add a cache, log, hot spare, and continue. In my case, I will put as a cache, read cache, select it, and I move for a cache. So in this way, I have my data and my cache here already selected. Now I can come here and create it. Remember to create those informations before you come here to create, because it will be a little bit annoying to come back and modify anything. So I can come here and create, confirm, and create pool. In this stage, if your hard drive was not clean and you have some data, you're gonna lose it. So be sure that your hard drive or your hard drives, it's good to be clean before it. Now we have our pool called home, where they have the file system, how much I'm using, available, and the rest. You're gonna ask, I have 2 hard drives of 10 gigabytes and now only appear 8 or less than 8 gigabytes available. Yes, because all the time that they do the mirror, parity, anything, great, they'll need to use something of those informations, and this reason that allowed you a little bit less. So if you need exactly 4 terabytes, get a little bit more for you be able to have this exactly 4 terabytes. Otherwise, you're gonna have a little bit less space for parity and any other thing. So now I have my pool, but I don't have any data set. I don't have any share folder or anything that I properly could mount or use Samba to be able to locate externally. So let's create here, add a data set. Now I will name this data set as a data. I can put any comment. In my case, I will not put any comment. And here I will leave everything standard. If I have any reason to change it. In my case, I don't have reason, so I'll leave it. Now I can come here and put save. If I wanted to have any extra configuration, look like I want that this data set will use maximum of 1 gigabyte or 2 gigabytes or have any warning or anything, I can put as advanced. In my case, the basic is totally fine, so I'll put save. My available for the data set is exactly the same as available for my pool. If I wanted to define that only 8% of this capacity, this available will be a little bit less. In this stage, we have my data set, but only users that have permission to access it will be the root users. In this case, I don't want to give access for root, or I don't want that people start to access my network using the root. So I need to create my user. I can create a user, group, or other things. In the next video, so I'll explain a little bit more about it, but let's do the basics. We're gonna create a user, add, and the name of the user will be Sauber, for Sauber-Lab, and I will create my password, and again my password. If I want to choose this Microsoft account, I need to add my email account, but in this case, I will not use it. New private group, I will select it. In the next videos, when we start to configure groups and start to configure better users in the order to have better accounts and better setups, we're not gonna select this option, but in this case, it's totally fine. Other thing, my password is enable, and I will leave everything as standard and put save. Now that I have my user, I can come here in my storage, my dataset, view permissions, and I can modify the permission. If I come here and modify directly here the permission, it means that this data will not be anymore from the home, will be another one. So if I save here, view permission, this folder specific is from Sauber-Lab. What it's work for this stage, but if you are with more users, it will not be ideal. We're gonna need you to configure set ACL instead of it. But in this case, it's totally fine because we have only one user and one person in the network. More advanced configuration, yes, you're gonna need to configure ACL instead of only to modify here the permissions, but we're gonna leave in this stage. But this folder data is not accessible for the network. No one can access it because you don't have any service SMB configured. So I come here for share, I will configure SMB, so I put add, I will select the folder that I want, in my case will be data. Parameters, no, I don't want to configure anything, but if you have any reason to configure it, you suggest you to move, and I put save. Once that I save, they ask if I wanted to enable the service, otherwise it will not work. I put enable, and now this service is running. Let's try to see if it's really running. If I open my network, I have my TrueNas already here. If I try to open this TrueNas, if I try to open TrueNas, I already have access for my folder data. Because I already have done the login, I cannot do the login again, but basically will be your user, Sauber, and your password that you define. If I come here in properties, security, I can have an idea what users that has. So this one is a root where they only have a special permission, creators of the group, and I have my Sauber. So if I come here, now I can create new folders. I can create a new files inside and continue on. So now I have this network attached that only users Sauber that can access and can do whatever they want. But if you have more users, it's not ideal to use this way. So if I come here back, it's running, my SMB is running. So now I can come here in my data protection. My data protection is when we're gonna save all your data or make sure that everything will be saved in the future for you. So first, scrambling, where they will check periodic about how good or how bad is your data and is have any corruption data or not. If I come here, is defined for 35 days. I don't suggest you to do every day or every week because this one will take longer and will validate. So if you're running any application at the same time, they will run really slow this application because they will use a lot of your CPU and a lot of your hard drive to process all this data and validate that anything is corrupted. Now, periodic snapshot. It's one extra precaution. We're gonna explain more about this snapshot and how you can configure it. But basically, you can define your data set and you can make that each 2 weeks they will have the data from that 2 weeks and they will do it hourly or weekly or some period. In this case, they will do every day, and every day you're gonna have a space of backup for your data. If you have a lot of modification, you can do each hour, but remember, they will use a little bit of your capacity of your system. So if you have a lot of data that you delete and create, delete, create, they will not delete that, they will keep that space for at least 2 weeks. Will not, if you don't delete so much files, will not affect, but if you delete and create new files in the same place, your space will be using for that 2 weeks until they can clean the old snapshot. So have this one in mind. If I put save, they will create a snapshot that will be every day created. It means that in about 20 hours, they will create a new snapshot and a new snapshot and a new snapshot and continue on. Replications, we're gonna explain in another video. Cloud sync, you can make a sync in your Google Drive or your OneNote. You can make a sync for your data in your Google Drive, your OneCloud, or any place that you want, you can make a sync for it. rsync, you can have another computer that will sync all your data between this computer to another one, make a kind of backup, and this way you can have two copies of the same data in two different places. It's really good once that you know that you're gonna delete, or you know that have some specific data that you want to keep there, save in another place. This one will be syncing it. Now smart, you're gonna create for all the hard drives. This smart, basically it's a way that they will check the life of your hard drives or life of your storage. In this way, if any one of your hard drive it's going to get fail for corrupt data or temperature or anything, they will advise you. Do not protect 100% because can suddenly stop to work any hard drive, but at least you have one extra check. In my case, I will put a short, but you can have any one of those. You can offline, so the way he start the computer to make this smart. Long, they will be a really long or covines, but the short for me always is fine. It will happen once a day, so 12 o'clock in the night, they will be doing this smart, and now all the basic data protections configured. Other video we're gonna explain a little bit more about this, but it's basically done. Network, we're gonna configure more in other videos where you can have a different IP address, you can have global configurations, or you can have domains, different domains configured. It's more advanced, but we're gonna show in other videos. And here your OpenVPN, if you want to have this server in another place and that connect to your network, simulate that is in this network, you can use this OpenVPN. Only remember, will be a little bit more slow because they will use the network speed instead of physically there. But if you have 1 GB network and 1 GB internet connection, they will be almost the same, so not feel so much difference. All the credential where I told, local that you create, local groups, director, backups, and everything will be here. Virtualizations, where we're gonna create our virtual machines in the futures, and here the apps. First time that you're gonna configure the apps, you need to select which pool that you want to do. So we're gonna put home and choose. This one will take a little bit time until they create the pre-pool data. After this one's great, you can start to install the applications, manage catalogs, or manage Docker images. The application have these ones as standard applications, but in the next videos I will show how to extend, or at least I already show it, but I will make sure that you understand it well and make sure that we work in a stable manner. Reportings and the rest of the system configuration that you do. So in this way we finish the base configuration. At the moment you have access for the TrueNAS, your local network, using only one user. Next videos we're gonna go a little bit more in depth with permissions and anything else. As I was telling, the next videos we're gonna go a little bit more depth about permissions for user, cloud sync, and any other configuration, add extra apps. In this way you have a better system working for you. So if you like this video and think that was interesting, don't forget to leave a like, consider to subscribe for the channel, and see you next time. Bye.